5 years ago, my former boss Richard Henderson fired me from my job as a senior engineer at Midwest Industrial Solutions, telling me at age 65 that I was worthless deadweight who would never succeed at anything meaningful, and that I should just accept that my career was over and fade quietly into retirement like other useless old-timers who couldn't keep up with modern technology and business practices. Last Tuesday morning, Richard walked into my corner office at Henderson Engineering Consulting, which is now a subsidiary of my company Mitchell Tech Solutions, to receive his performance evaluation and discuss his continued employment as my subcontractor, making me officially his boss and giving me the ultimate satisfaction of proving that his assessment of my potential had been catastrophically wrong. I'm Frank Mitchell. I'm 70 years old, and this is the story of how being fired for my age and dismissed as worthless motivated me to build a technology consulting empire that eventually acquired my former employer's company and gave me the opportunity to become the boss of the man who had destroyed my confidence and tried to end my career when I needed my job the most. Before we dive into this incredible tale of age discrimination, corporate revenge, and the ultimate comeback story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting us know what city you're tuning in from today. The foundation of this story begins 42 years ago when I started working as a junior engineer at Midwest Industrial Solutions, a mid-sized engineering firm in Chicago that specialized in manufacturing process optimization and industrial automation systems for companies throughout the Midwest region. I was 28 years old, fresh out of graduate school with a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and eager to apply my education and my passion for problem-solving to real-world industrial challenges that could improve efficiency and productivity for manufacturing companies. Midwest Industrial Solutions was considered one of the premier engineering consulting firms in the region, with a reputation for innovative solutions and excellent client relationships that had been built over decades of successful project completion and satisfied customers who relied on the company's expertise for their most critical operational improvements. I started as a junior engineer working under the supervision of senior staff members who taught me the practical aspects of engineering consulting, including client relationship management, project planning and execution, and the complex technical skills required to analyze manufacturing processes and recommend improvements that would deliver measurable results. During my early years at Midwest Industrial Solutions, I demonstrated exceptional technical abilities and a natural talent for understanding complex manufacturing systems, quickly earning recognition from clients and colleagues for my innovative approaches to problem solving and my ability to communicate technical concepts to non-technical managers and executives. My career progression at the company was steady and rewarding, with regular promotions and salary increases that reflected my growing expertise and my increasing value to the organization's success and reputation in the competitive engineering consulting market. By my 10th year with the company, I had been promoted to senior engineer and was leading major projects for Fortune 500 manufacturing clients, developing automated systems and process improvements that saved millions of dollars and established Midwest Industrial Solutions as a leader in industrial automation consulting. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, I continued to advance within the company hierarchy, eventually becoming a principal engineer and then a department manager responsible for overseeing teams of engineers and managing relationships with the company's largest and most important clients. My expertise in emerging technologies, particularly computer-controlled manufacturing systems and early industrial robotics made me invaluable to clients who were modernizing their operations and seeking competitive advantages through technological innovation and process optimization. Richard Henderson joined Midwest Industrial Solutions as a junior manager in 1995, when I was already a well-established senior engineer with 23 years of experience and a reputation as one of the company's most knowledgeable and reliable technical experts. Richard had an MBA from Northwestern University and came from a corporate background in business development and sales, but he had limited technical knowledge and no hands-on engineering experience, which created some tension between his management style and the technical culture of the engineering consulting firm. Despite his lack of technical expertise, Richard was ambitious and politically savvy, demonstrating strong skills in client relationship management and business development that impressed the company's senior leadership and contributed to his rapid advancement within the organization. Richard's promotional trajectory was significantly faster than typical for the engineering consulting industry, advancing from junior manager to department head to vice president within just 8 years, largely based on his ability to secure new contracts and expand existing client relationships. I worked under Richard's management for several years during his rise through the company hierarchy, and our professional relationship was generally positive, though I sometimes found his lack of technical understanding frustrating when he made commitments to clients without fully understanding the engineering challenges involved in delivering the promised results. Richard's management style emphasized sales performance and revenue generation over technical excellence and engineering innovation, which created cultural changes within the company that some longtime employees found concerning and potentially damaging to the firm's reputation for technical expertise. As Richard's influence within the company grew, he began implementing business practices and organizational changes that prioritized short-term financial performance over long-term client relationships and technical excellence, including pressure to complete projects faster and with smaller teams regardless of quality implications. When the company's founder and longtime president retired in 2008, Richard was promoted to president and chief executive officer, giving him complete control over the company's direction and the authority to implement his vision for transforming Midwest Industrial Solutions into a more profitable and efficiently operated business. Richard's presidency marked a significant shift in the company culture, with increased emphasis on cost reduction, staff efficiency metrics, and aggressive sales targets that changed the fundamental character of the organization and created stress and uncertainty among longtime employees. Under Richard's leadership, the company began laying off older employees and replacing them with younger staff members who commanded lower salaries, ostensibly as cost-saving measures, but creating an obvious pattern of age discrimination that affected many experienced engineers and managers. I watched several of my colleagues who were in their 50s and 60s lose their jobs during Richard's tenure as president, often under questionable circumstances that seemed designed to avoid legal challenges while achieving the goal of reducing payroll expenses through the elimination of higher-paid senior staff. The company's treatment of older employees created an atmosphere of fear and insecurity among remaining staff members who were approaching traditional retirement age, as it became clear that experience and expertise were being devalued in favor of cost reduction and profit maximization. Despite the concerning trends in the company's employment practices, I continued to perform at a high level and maintained strong relationships with important clients who specifically requested my involvement in their projects because of my technical expertise and my reputation for delivering excellent results. My client relationships and technical skills provided some protection from the layoffs that had affected other senior employees, and I hoped that my value to the company would ensure my continued employment until I was ready to retire on my own terms. Richard's attitude toward me began to change as I approached my 65th birthday, with subtle comments about retirement planning and suggestions that I might want to consider reducing my workload or transitioning to a part-time consulting role that would allow younger engineers to take over my major client responsibilities. I made it clear to Richard that I had no intention of retiring at 65, and that I wanted to continue working full-time for as long as I remained productive and valuable to the company's success. But his response suggested that my preferences might not be the determining factor in decisions about my continued employment. The engineering consulting industry had been undergoing significant changes during the 2010 decade, with increased competition from larger firms and new technologies that were disrupting traditional consulting models, creating pressure on companies like Midwest Industrial Solutions to adapt their business strategies and operational approaches. Richard's response to these industry challenges was to accelerate his cost-cutting initiatives and to push for even more aggressive staff reductions, particularly targeting employees who were close to traditional retirement age and whose salaries represented significant expense line items in the company's budget. My 65th birthday passed without any official recognition or discussion about retirement, but I noticed that Richard began excluding me from strategic planning meetings and long-term project assignments, apparently preparing to marginalize my role within the company before taking more direct action. The quality of my work remained excellent, and my client relationships continued to be strong. But Richard's behavior suggested that my age had become more important than my performance in his assessment of my value to the organization. 6 months after my 65th birthday, Richard called me into his office for what he described as a routine performance review. But the meeting quickly became clear that he had predetermined the outcome and was using the review as a pretext for terminating my employment. Richard's performance evaluation was filled with criticisms that had never been raised before, and complaints about my work that contradicted decades of positive reviews and client feedback, suggesting that he had constructed a false narrative to justify his decision to fire me. "Frank, I'm afraid we need to make some difficult decisions about the future direction of the company," Richard began, his tone suggesting that he was delivering bad news rather than conducting a legitimate performance evaluation. Richard explained that the company was restructuring its operations to focus on emerging technologies and younger talent, and that my skills and experience were no longer aligned with the organization's strategic direction and client expectations. "The industry is changing rapidly, and we need team members who can adapt to new technologies and modern business practices," Richard continued. "And frankly, employees of your generation just can't keep up with the pace of innovation and the demands of today's competitive market." Richard's explanation for my termination was insulting and legally questionable, as he was essentially admitting that my age was the primary factor in his decision, rather than any legitimate performance issues or business justifications that would stand up to legal scrutiny. "You've had a good run here, Frank, but it's time to face reality," Richard said with obvious satisfaction. "You're never going to succeed in today's technology-driven business environment, and continuing to fight against retirement is just going to end in disappointment and failure." Richard's prediction about my future prospects was delivered with such certainty and condescension that it felt like he was enjoying the opportunity to crush my confidence and force me out of a career that had defined my professional identity for over 4 decades. "You should take your severance package and enjoy your retirement," Richard concluded, "because at your age, you're not going to find another job, and trying to start over will just prove that you're too old and too set in your ways to compete with younger professionals." Richard's termination of my employment included a severance package that was legally adequate but emotionally devastating, as it represented the end of my career at a company where I had invested the majority of my professional life and had contributed significantly to the organization's success and reputation. Walking out of Midwest Industrial Solutions for the last time was one of the most humiliating and painful experiences of my life, not only because I was losing my job and my income, but also because Richard's dismissive attitude had made me question my own abilities and my prospects for future success. Richard's prediction that I would never succeed at anything meaningful echoed in my mind as I processed the shock of sudden unemployment and tried to figure out how to rebuild my career and my confidence at an age when most people were settling into retirement. The first few weeks after my termination were filled with anger, depression, and uncertainty about my future, as I struggled to come to terms with the abrupt end of my corporate career and the challenge of finding new opportunities in an age-discriminatory job market. I applied for numerous positions with other engineering consulting firms, but the response was consistently disappointing, with most companies showing little interest in hiring a 65-year-old engineer regardless of his experience and expertise. The job search process confirmed Richard's prediction about the difficulties I would face in finding employment, and I began to worry that he might have been right about my prospects for future success and my ability to compete in a youth-oriented business environment. After 3 months of unsuccessful job hunting and growing financial pressure, I made the decision to start my own consulting company rather than continuing to seek employment with organizations that were clearly biased against older workers. Mitchell Tech Solutions began as a one-person consulting firm operating out of my home office, with minimal startup costs and a business plan based on leveraging my decades of experience and my existing client relationships to provide specialized engineering consulting services. My initial marketing strategy focused on reaching out to former clients who had worked with me at Midwest Industrial Solutions, offering them the opportunity to continue accessing my expertise through my independent consulting practice, rather than being forced to work with less experienced engineers at my former company. The response to my outreach efforts was overwhelmingly positive, with several major manufacturing companies expressing interest in hiring Mitchell Tech Solutions for projects that required the specific technical knowledge and industry experience that I had developed over my career. My first consulting contract was with an automotive parts manufacturer that had worked with me for over 15 years and specifically requested my involvement in a complex automation project that other engineering firms had been unable to complete successfully. The success of my initial consulting projects led to referrals and additional contracts, as word spread through the manufacturing community that Frank Mitchell was available for independent consulting and was delivering the same high-quality results that had made him valuable at Midwest Industrial Solutions. Within 6 months of starting Mitchell Tech Solutions, I was earning more money as an independent consultant than I had been making as a senior employee at my former company, and I was working with more interesting and challenging projects than I had handled during my final years under Richard's management. The freedom and flexibility of running my own consulting business was incredibly rewarding after decades of corporate employment, and I discovered that I had entrepreneurial skills and business instincts that had never been fully utilized during my years as an employee. My success as an independent consultant attracted the attention of other experienced engineers who had been forced out of their corporate positions due to age discrimination, and I began hiring subcontractors and eventually full-time employees to help handle the growing volume of work. Mitchell Tech Solutions evolved from a one-person consulting practice to a multi-engineer firm within 18 months, as demand for our specialized expertise exceeded my ability to handle all the projects personally and required building a team of experienced professionals who shared my commitment to technical excellence. The company's growth was organic and sustainable, based on consistently delivering superior results for manufacturing clients who valued experience and expertise over cost reduction, and were willing to pay premium rates for consulting services that solved their most challenging technical problems. By the end of my second year as an entrepreneur, Mitchell Tech Solutions employed 12 engineers and support staff and was generating annual revenues that exceeded $2 million, making it one of the fastest-growing engineering consulting firms in the Chicago metropolitan area. The irony of my post-termination success was not lost on me, as Richard's prediction that I would never succeed had motivated me to achieve levels of professional and financial success that had exceeded anything I had accomplished during my corporate career. My entrepreneurial success provided not only financial security and professional satisfaction, but also personal vindication of my abilities and my value in the engineering consulting marketplace, proving that Richard's assessment of my potential had been based on age bias rather than accurate evaluation of my capabilities. During my third year of operating Mitchell Tech Solutions, I learned through industry contacts that Midwest Industrial Solutions was experiencing significant financial difficulties and client defections, apparently as a result of quality problems and staff turnover that had damaged the company's reputation and competitive position. Richard's cost-cutting strategies and emphasis on profit maximization over technical excellence had created a downward spiral of declining service quality, client dissatisfaction, and loss of experienced personnel that was threatening the company's long-term viability and market position. Several of Midwest Industrial Solutions' major clients had terminated their contracts and were seeking alternative consulting firms that could provide the level of technical expertise and service quality that had been the company's trademark before Richard's management changes. The manufacturing companies that were leaving Midwest Industrial Solutions were exactly the type of clients that Mitchell Tech Solutions was designed to serve, and many of them reached out to me directly when they learned about my independent consulting practice. My former employer's client defections became a significant source of new business for Mitchell Tech Solutions, as companies that had worked with me during my corporate career were eager to resume those relationships through my independent consulting firm. The competitive advantage that Mitchell Tech Solutions gained from Midwest Industrial Solutions, quality problems and reputation damage, accelerated our growth and established us as a serious competitor in the regional engineering consulting market. By my fourth year as an entrepreneur, Mitchell Tech Solutions had grown to employ 25 engineers and support staff and was generating annual revenues approaching $5 million, making it larger and more profitable than many established consulting firms that had been operating for decades. The success of my consulting company attracted attention from industry publications and business organizations, leading to speaking opportunities and recognition as an example of successful entrepreneurship and the value of experience in technical consulting services. Richard's prediction that I would never succeed had become a source of motivation and inspiration that I shared with other older workers who were facing age discrimination and considering entrepreneurial alternatives to traditional employment. The growth and success of Mitchell Tech Solutions created opportunities to acquire smaller consulting firms and to expand our service offerings beyond traditional manufacturing consulting to include emerging areas such as renewable energy systems and advanced automation technologies. My company's acquisition strategy focused on purchasing firms that had experienced engineers and established client relationships, but lacked the capital or management expertise needed to compete effectively in the evolving consulting marketplace. The acquisition program allowed Mitchell Tech Solutions to expand rapidly while preserving the jobs and expertise of experienced engineers who might otherwise have been displaced by industry consolidation and corporate cost-cutting initiatives. During my 5th year as an entrepreneur, I learned that Midwest Industrial Solutions was considering selling the company due to continued financial difficulties and Richard's inability to reverse the decline in revenue and market position that had resulted from his management decisions. The opportunity to acquire my former employer was both personally and strategically attractive, as it would provide Mitchell Tech Solutions with additional resources and market share, while also giving me the ultimate satisfaction of becoming Richard's boss and proving the complete failure of his predictions about my potential. The acquisition negotiations were complex and lengthy, involving due diligence reviews, financial analysis, and regulatory approvals. But the strategic benefits of combining the two companies made the transaction attractive to all parties involved except Richard, who would lose his position as president and become an employee of my company. The final acquisition price for Midwest Industrial Solutions was $12 million, which Mitchell Tech Solutions was able to finance through a combination of cash reserves, bank loans, and investor funding that reflected the confidence of the financial community in our company's management and growth prospects. The acquisition was completed on a Tuesday morning in March, exactly 5 years and 3 months after Richard had fired me, and predicted that I would never succeed at anything meaningful, making me officially the owner and president of the company that had discarded me because of my age. Richard's reaction to learning that his former employee had acquired his company and would become his boss was a mixture of shock, embarrassment, and desperate attempts to maintain his dignity and his position within the organization that he had led for over 15 years. The irony of the situation was not lost on anyone involved in the transaction, as the man who had been dismissed as worthless and too old to succeed had built a more successful company than the one that had fired him, and was now in a position to determine Richard's future employment. My first official act as the new owner of Midwest Industrial Solutions was to schedule individual meetings with all employees to discuss their roles in the combined organization and to address any concerns about job security and career prospects under the new management structure. Richard's meeting was scheduled for Tuesday morning in what had been his corner office, but was now my workspace, creating a symbolic reversal of the power dynamic that had existed when he had fired me from my position as a senior engineer. When Richard walked into the office for his performance evaluation and employment discussion, his discomfort was obvious, as he was forced to sit in the chair where I had received his harsh criticism and predictions about my future failure just 5 years earlier. "Richard," I began, maintaining a professional tone despite the personal satisfaction of the moment, "I want to discuss your role in the new organization and your performance over the past several years as president of Midwest Industrial Solutions." Richard's expression revealed his understanding that he was now subject to my evaluation and my decisions about his continued employment, reversing the power relationship that had allowed him to destroy my confidence and end my corporate career. I reviewed Richard's management record objectively, noting the company's declining revenues, client defections, and reputation damage that had occurred under his leadership, as well as the questionable employment practices that had created legal risks and damaged employee morale. The company's financial performance and market position have deteriorated significantly during your tenure as president, I observed, and many of the strategic decisions you made have proven to be counterproductive and damaging to the organization's long-term prospects. Richard attempted to defend his management record by citing industry challenges and competitive pressures, but the evidence of his poor decision-making and the contrast with Mitchell Tech Solutions' success during the same period made his explanations unconvincing. Your approach to cost reduction through staff layoffs and the elimination of experienced employees created quality problems that damaged client relationships and reduced the company's competitive advantages, I continued, and your prediction that older workers couldn't succeed in the modern business environment has been thoroughly disproven by subsequent events. Richard's face showed increasing discomfort as I methodically reviewed the failures and mistakes that had characterized his leadership, particularly his discrimination against older employees and his failure to recognize the value of experience and expertise in technical consulting services. "However," I said, pausing to let Richard absorb the full implications of his situation, "I believe in giving people opportunities to prove their value and to contribute to organizational success, regardless of their past mistakes or their current circumstances." I offered Richard the opportunity to remain with the company in a senior consulting role, working under the supervision of younger managers, and focusing on client relationship development rather than strategic decision-making or personnel management. The position I offered Richard was similar to the role that senior engineers typically filled at consulting firms, with responsibilities for technical work and client service, but without the authority to make hiring, firing, or strategic business decisions that could affect other employees or the company's direction. Richard's reaction to my job offer was a mixture of relief at retaining employment and humiliation at the dramatic reduction in his status and authority within the organization that he had previously controlled as president and chief executive officer. "I understand that this represents a significant change in your role and responsibilities," I acknowledged, "but given the company's performance under your leadership, this arrangement provides the best opportunity for you to contribute to the organization's success while learning from the management approaches that have proven more effective." Richard accepted the position I offered, apparently recognizing that his alternatives were limited and that working for his former employee was preferable to unemployment or starting over at another company where his management record would be subject to scrutiny. The transition period following the acquisition involved integrating the operations of both companies, retaining the most valuable employees and clients while eliminating redundancies, and addressing the quality and reputation issues that had damaged Midwest Industrial Solutions under Richard's management. Richard's adjustment to his new role was difficult and sometimes uncomfortable, as he had to adapt to being managed by people who had previously been his subordinates, and to working within systems and processes that reflected my management philosophy, rather than his own approach to business operations. The combined company, operating under the Mitchell Tech Solutions name, became one of the largest and most successful engineering consulting firms in the Midwest, with annual revenues exceeding $15 million and a reputation for technical excellence that attracted clients from across the country. Richard's performance in his new role was adequate but not exceptional, as he struggled to adapt to a management culture that prioritized technical expertise and client service over cost reduction and profit maximization, requiring ongoing supervision and guidance from other members of the management team. The success of the combined organization validated my belief that experience and expertise were valuable assets in the engineering consulting industry, and that companies could achieve superior performance by investing in skilled employees rather than treating them as expendable cost centers. My story of transformation from terminated employee to successful entrepreneur to acquirer of my former employer became a popular case study in business schools and professional organizations, illustrating the potential for older workers to achieve extraordinary success when they are given opportunities to demonstrate their capabilities. Richard's role in the story served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of age discrimination and the importance of recognizing the value of experience in technical industries, where expertise and client relationships are critical success factors. The personal satisfaction of proving Richard's predictions wrong was enormous, but the broader impact of Mitchell Tech Solutions' success was the demonstration that older workers could not only compete effectively, but could actually outperform younger competitors when given the opportunity to apply their experience and expertise. Today, 7 years after Richard fired me and predicted that I would never succeed, Mitchell Tech Solutions employs over 60 people and generates annual revenues approaching $25 million, making it one of the most successful consulting firms in the region, and a testament to the value of experience in technical industries. Richard continues to work for the company in his consulting role, and our professional relationship has evolved from the hostility and discrimination of our previous interactions to a more respectful working relationship based on mutual recognition of each other's contributions to the organization's success. The company's success has provided financial security for me and my family that far exceeds what I could have achieved through continued corporate employment, while also creating opportunities for other experienced engineers who might otherwise have faced age discrimination in the traditional job market. My experience with age discrimination and entrepreneurial success has motivated me to become an advocate for older workers and to support legislation and policies that protect experienced employees from unfair treatment based on their age, rather than their performance and capabilities. The Mitchell Tech Solutions Employee Development Program includes mentorship opportunities for older workers who are considering entrepreneurial ventures, providing them with the resources and guidance needed to start their own consulting practices or small businesses in technical industries. Richard's transformation from my boss to my employee serves as a daily reminder of the importance of treating all people with respect and recognition of their potential contributions, regardless of their age, background, or current circumstances. The ultimate irony of my story is that Richard's cruel prediction about my future failure provided the motivation and determination that I needed to achieve levels of success that exceeded anything I had accomplished during my corporate career, making his attempt to destroy my confidence the catalyst for my greatest professional achievements. If this story of ultimate vindication and the triumph of experience over age discrimination inspired you, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories of perseverance and success. Share your thoughts about workplace age discrimination and second career success in the comments below. And don't forget to click on our next recommended story for another amazing tale of comeback.